Welcome back to the Freelancers Tea Break, this short and sweet podcast you can enjoy whilst you make your cuppa. And this week's episode is going to be a bit of a behind the scenes chat, basically. And I wanted to share it because I know quite a few listeners are in the Facebook group that I have, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the future of the community. Now, as I'm recording this, it's sort of coming to the end of January 2025, and there's been a lot of things happening in the last month, largely to do with Meta and the Trump administration and all of that. It's becoming increasingly clear to me that I am not that comfortable having a community on Facebook anymore. It's very much a head versus heart situation. So my head knows that I get probably at least 50-60% of my clients through the Facebook group. It might not always be directly. It might be people who found me on other networks and have come through Facebook, or they've come through Facebook and then joined the mailing list. This is based basically on, I have like a table with how all of my clients find me, because there's a question in my discovery call form, and it tells me where people have found me. So Facebook does come up very high. It also contributes a lot to my mailing list. So my head's like, from a business point of view, it really makes sense to be on Facebook. But my heart, it's not a good values fit. I feel really, really uncomfortable and angry, if I'm honest, about everything they're currently rolling out. And I think there's probably worse to come. But at the current time, it is things like in their guidelines, you are not allowed to call someone mentally ill unless they are part of the LGBTQIA community. And then apparently it's fine. So it's very much directed at that community, particularly the trans community. And there's just various other things that I feel really uncomfortable with. I've even noticed in my own feed, I'm getting so much more right-wing media. And there are other contributors as well. Facebook, the reach is awful in groups now. There are, the current time, around 6,200 members. And on a good day, a post will get about 300 reach, which is, when you compare it to like emails and things like that, it is ridiculous. And ironically, the post that has got the most interaction recently is me asking about what people want with the community and where to go forward with it. So I've been looking at all the different options out there. There is, I had a great conversation with Suzanne Buckley about Skool. That's Skool with a K, not a CH. And that looks fantastic. And I think, had I not already been really happy with having all my courses with Podia, if I didn't have that and I wanted to move some of my courses somewhere, as well as having a community, I think that would have been brilliant. Skool was really good because it's got like incentives to interact more. There's a lot more nice spaces, and crucially, it's got an app. For very similar reasons. Circle was one I looked at as well. They're at kind of similar price points as well, but they are. Skool was $99, I think, a month per community. I think Circle was similar, but it was like $89, or it might have been, there's a lower option for $49 a month as well per community. But because I ran this one, and I ran one for the Freelance Business Lounge, and I ran one for anyone that's bought the course before, or any of my courses, and I've run other groups as well for clients or all sorts of different things. It wasn't really an option unless I made the community a paid one, and that didn't really sit right with me. That said, I think there are some incredible paid communities. I think they are brilliant, but I think because I'm working with a lot of people who are brand new to freelancing, they're maybe not ready to do that. So there were lots of other options as well. I looked at Slack, but Slack is really limited on the free version in terms of what you can do in it. And again, otherwise that would have to be charging. A few people mentioned LinkedIn groups, but I don't know about you, but whenever I go on LinkedIn, I never see group stuff. I'm in a few, but I never see their stuff, and I always forget it's there. I looked at whether Podia, who I host all my courses with, have something. Unfortunately, they don't have an app, and it doesn't look like they're looking to have an app, which is a shame, because I think that would have been a great solution. But there's also the bigger problem that it is really hard to find a solution that works for everybody. So I did a poll. Everybody has different answers. Everybody has different things that they like and they don't like. And whatever solution I was going to find was either going to mean that it would take the community away from a lot of people, or people would really struggle to adjust to it, or they just wouldn't move. There were a lot of people who just did not want to add another app to their phone or a social network. And I get that. I really do. But it left me in a bit of a tricky position. And I was looking at all the options, and I used Discord. Well, I set up a Discord for my son to play with his friends, because I wanted to create like a safe space where I know who's in there. I can keep an eye on all of the chats, pretty much always in the room if he's on it. So it allowed him to communicate with his friends when he was gaming, but also allowed me to be able to keep an eye on things. And I wasn't sure if it might be a bit too overwhelming. But I think it's a really good space to create a safe space away from Facebook. And there's lots of functions in there, like being able to have rooms. In fact, whilst I'm recording this, I'm in one of the accountability rooms that I've set up in there, with a couple of the business loungers I'm in who are kind of testing out the Discord for me. So it sounds like I'm going with Discord, but I'm not, because I was so worried about the move over, and it just didn't feel quite right. And a great chat with Laura Summers, who does all of my reels and Instagrams, and she was like, well, why don't you do hybrid? Why don't you just offer both? And that's what I decided to do. So I'm going to keep the Facebook group. I ideally would like to come off Facebook eventually, but I know that's not it's not a very logical thing to just be able to do immediately. So this way, I have the Discord, so people can join there if they would rather get away from Facebook. And then I have the Facebook group for those that are not ready to move yet. And hopefully, maybe we can persuade everybody to move to Discord, or a good chunk of people. But this way, hopefully, it means that there's still that community for the Facebook users, but those that are ready to move away from Facebook have that Discord option. So I am in the midst at the moment of recording, testing it, but I would imagine by the time this podcast episode comes out, I'm probably going to have in the Facebook group the link for people to join. And it's going to be an experiment. Like, I'm going to be trying different things, working out what works, what doesn't. I'm so used to Facebook that it's definitely a big change of pace, but I think there's a lot more in there that will help people communicate. I love that they have the voice and video rooms, so that if you want to chat with other freelancers or just co-work with other freelancers, you can do that in there. You can play games in there if you want. I've also just added a book chat in there, because I know that's already, I can see the conversation starting with books. So there's a lot more flexibility. I will probably do a video at some point as well. But to give you an idea, if you've used Slack before, it's not that dissimilar to Slack in terms of the format, that you can have different channels on the side, either text channels or video audio channels. And on the right-hand side is just all the conversations. You can do emojis, and you can do GIFs and all of those kind of things. So I'm hoping it'll be a really nice collaborative space. But that's basically what I've decided. It's not going to be perfect. I would love to just leave Facebook, but that's not realistic. And it is really hard when you're trying to weigh up running your business in a way that works with your values, and running your business so that you can actually make money, so that you can help people. It's a very difficult thing, and I don't think it's ever been harder than it is at the moment. I'm generally quite disillusioned with social media generally. I am using Blue Sky a bit more. I'm really liking Substack. I'm still on Instagram. I still love Instagram. TikTok, I'm seeing what happens, because it very much depends on who buys that one. And LinkedIn, I'm on LinkedIn as well. So I'm still using some, and this is probably an episode for another time, but I have been using an app that's really, really helped me cut back my time on my social networks on my phone, which has been really lovely. I think that is an episode in itself. I will write a note for that. But I just want to give you a behind the scenes about the whole decision about the community. So just to summarize, Facebook group will stay as it is at the moment. I'm not going to say in 6 months I might just archive it, but I would give loads of notice if that was the case. But I just want to give people the opportunity to try Discord and see if that's a better fit for them. And then we'll see what happens with Facebook. I think by the time this comes out, probably something else has changed. But I think a lot of things are happening, especially around sort of Silicon Valley or the social media tools and even like AI tools and things like that, and that as well. It changes day by day. I should just record this live because it's going to change by the time it gets out. Anyway, that's me done for a bit of a anatomy session there. But I'd love to know how you feel about communities and how you feel about Facebook. So feel free to come over if they let us talk about it over there in the Facebook group, or come find me on Blue Sky or LinkedIn. I'm pretty much Emma Cossey on all of them, but I will make sure I put the details in the show notes. I hope you have a wonderful freelance week.